Hey everyone, and welcome back to Book on a Shelf. Today we are diving into a story of absolute genius that was for a long, long time kept completely in the shadows. We're breaking down Margot Lee Shetterly's groundbreaking book, Hidden Figures. This is the incredible, and I mean incredible, true story of the African American women who were the brains behind one of the greatest achievements in human history.
Wow, this quote from the book, it just hits you, right? It really sets the stage for everything we're about to talk about. It points to this powerful, kind of inconvenient truth. The talent was always there. It was just waiting for a chance. And this is the story of the women who didn't just wait for that chance, they seized it. They helped America win the space race, even when the country itself wasn't quite ready to see them, let alone celebrate that. All right, so to really get their story, you've got to picture the scene. We're going back to the middle of the 20th century. The Cold War is in full swing. The U.S. is locked in this intense, high-stakes tech battle with the Soviet Union. And what's the ultimate prize? Space. The pressure was absolutely immense. It created this desperate nationwide scramble for anyone who was good at math. I mean, really good.
So the demand for brain power for these brilliant mathematicians, it was so urgent that it actually forced organizations like the Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory, which, was the precursor to NASA, to start looking past their own prejudices. They had to. So they opened their doors to this completely untapped pool of talent, African-American female mathematicians.
And this, right here, brings us to the very heart of the book. These women were hired as, get this, human computers. Their job? To perform the mind-bendingly complex calculations that would literally launch rockets into orbit. But for decades, their stories were almost completely lost to history. So let's meet these brilliant minds.
First up, we have Katherine Johnson. She was an absolute powerhouse in orbital mechanics. We're talking about the person who calculated the precise life-or-death trajectories, the math that would send astronauts into space and, maybe even more importantly, bring them home safely.
Then there's Dorothy Vaughan, and she wasn't just a brilliant mathematician. Oh no, she was a true visionary leader. She could see the future coming. She knew that these new electronic computers were going to make their jobs obsolete. So what did she do? She taught herself and her whole team the brand new programming language of Fortran. She made sure their skills stayed absolutely essential.
And we can't forget Mary Jackson. I mean, her story is just incredible. She had to go to court, actually petition the legal system just for permission to attend the classes she needed to become an engineer. Think about that. And her fight paid off. She became NASA's very first female African-American engineer. It just goes to show her tenacity was every bit as powerful as her intellect.
Okay, but to really truly get the scale of their achievement, we have to talk about the environment they were working in. Because it was a place of just deep contradiction. On one hand, they're calculating the physics of the future. On the other, they're living in a present that was still defined by the ugly injustices of segregation.
And this right here just lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you have NASA's mission, push the boundaries of human achievement, go where no one has gone before. But then you look at Langley's reality, enforce the boundaries of racial segregation. It's just staggering. The mission was to push the limits of humanity, while the workplace was enforcing the ugliest, most arbitrary limits on its own people. I mean, their daily reality was just a constant battle, a battle against these systemic indignities. You had segregated housing, separate colored washrooms. The book talks about how Katherine Johnson had to run half a mile across campus just to use the restroom. Can you even imagine? On top of that, there were different buses, they were paid less than their male counterparts, and so often their work just went completely uncredited. Their names were just left off the reports that they wrote.
But, and this is the most powerful part of the whole story, despite every single barrier that was put in their way, their brilliance just could not be contained. Their work wasn't just, helpful, it was absolutely essential.
So this begs the question, right? Just how crucial were their calculations really? Were they just doing some background number crunching, or was their work the actual engine driving this whole mission?
Let me be crystal clear. The answer is they were the difference between mission success and total failure. That's it. Their calculations were the bedrock of the entire space program. They were that thin, thin line between a successful launch and a catastrophic disaster. So yeah, without them, there's no winning the space race. Period.
Let's just take Katherine Johnson as a perfect example here. So her whole thing was calculating these incredibly complex orbital paths. And before John Glenn's historic flight, the first American to orbit the Earth, the new IBM electronic computers had crunched all the numbers. But Glenn, he famously said, "I'm not going anywhere until the girl checks the numbers." He was talking about Katherine Johnson. He literally trusted her brain more than a multi-million-dollar computer. That's how vital she was.
And it's really important we understand what that term human-computer actually meant. Yeah, it was a job title, but it also did something else. It kind of subtly diminished their contributions. It made their work sound mechanical, like they were just cogs in a machine, instead of recognizing it as the product of individual, creative genius. And that perception, that's a huge reason why their stories stayed hidden for so long.
So that brings us to the author's mission here. See, Hidden Figures isn't just another history book. It's really an act of historical restoration. It's about giving credit where credit was so long overdue.
And what makes this book so incredibly powerful is the author's personal connection to it all. Margot Lee Shetterly didn't just, stumble upon this story in an archive somewhere. She grew up with it. Her own dad was a climate scientist at Langley. He knew these women. He saw their work with his own 2 eyes.
And that connection, it gave her unparalleled access. This book is built on hours and hours of firsthand interviews with the women themselves, with their families. It's packed with historical witness accounts that tell the story not from the outside looking in, but from the inside out. Her goal was so clear, to finally shine a massive spotlight on their achievements and give them the recognition they had earned 100 times over.
So when you boil it all down, Hidden Figures is so much more than just a story about injustice. It's actually a deeply positive and encouraging story. It's this incredible, inspirational argument that genius doesn't care about your race or your gender, and that perseverance, even when the odds are completely stacked against you, can genuinely change the world. And that leaves us with one last big thought to chew on. Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson, they weren't some kind of anomaly. Their story really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other brilliant minds, how many other hidden figures throughout history are still out there, just waiting for their stories to be told? And there you have it. That's our look into Hidden Figures, a book that's just a powerful testament to how storytelling can uncover the truths that really do shape our world. Thanks so much for joining us on Book on a Shelf today.
Hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown and you want to see more stories like this brought to light, do us a huge favor. Please hit that like button, share it with a friend, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep digging into these incredible histories.
We're going to be back really soon to break down another amazing book. Until then, stay curious.